Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Our Voice 360, Our Perspectives, Our Ways. I'm one half of the podcast crew here, Chad Bumgarner. I got with me my right hand man, Pete Hunt.
What's good, family?
Hey, Pete, with that, let's go ahead and get into it, my brother.
And as always, our podcast is brought to you by CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
And also, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if there's a topic that you want our insight about or what we think about it, or if you have an idea of how we can make the podcast better for your listening and viewing pleasure, please never hesitate to contact us, please, by all means. At our email address at ourvoice360 at gmail.com, excuse me, ourvoice360 at gmail.com. Sorry about that, folks. Also, we are trying real hard to get to at least 1,000 subscribers. So if you would on YouTube and all other platforms, smash the like button, subscribe
Yes.
to the channel, share with your friends and family,
hmm
and let's get the viewings and ratings up, guys, because we are really trying to bring information and topics that we feel like our people, black and brown as a whole, need to know about and engage and, go investigate, create, positive dialogue with your friends and family,
hmm
things that we need to be made aware of so that we can figure out how we can make a difference to make our
Yeah.
communities and our lives better. So please, please, please go out, like, share, subscribe, listen to the content, talk about it. Let's figure out how we
hmm
can make it better for us and our people. Okay. All right. Today, two big heaters, guys. We
Oh,
really
yeah.
need to talk about and we really need to know about. I don't know if you've been under a rock, but a lot has happened and you need to know. First off, we're going to start talking about the affirmative action situation with Asian Americans and how they're stressed about college admissions. We're going to get into that a little bit. I think they have cut off their nose despite the face.
Mm.
Don't really know if they thought this one through, but Pete and I are going to dive into this and try to give you some insight. And then from there, we want you to take a look at it, see what you come up with, and let's get this thing popping here and figure out how we can, resolve this thing. Because I think the Asian folks, at least based on this article, I'll say
hmm
that, kind of forgot who they
Yeah.
are. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
hmm
And so after that, we're going to also talk about the really big deal that's been in the news recently about the federal court threatens to deal a death blow to the voters, excuse me, the Voting Rights Act. In other words,
hmm
that Voting Rights Act has been gutted, at least in several different states. And the powers that be are really working to peel back our rights as black and brown people to vote. It's to the
hmm
point now where, well, it may be to the point nationwide where, if there's any issues dealing with the voting rights, that we as people or individuals or as organizations cannot sue. The only person that can sue or do anything is going to be the federal government or the attorney general. And so that's a really big issue. So these are the two topics we're coming in today with, and as also we're going to have the album of the week and the author of the week and our Bible scripture and inventor. So we've got all that at the latter part of the show. So right
hmm
now, Pete, let's dive into it, man. We're talking
Let's
about
do it.
the post affirmative action situation with the Asian Americans and what they feel. You know what? I'm gonna let you start with this, Pete. I'm gonna let you start with this one. Usually, I
I
kind of
mean,
like to introduce and throw my 2 cents in, but
oh,
nah, bro,
sure.
go, just
I
go.
mean, when I saw this article,
Yeah.
Chad, I immediately thought of a few podcasts ago that we dealt with this issue of affirmative
Mm-hmm.
action
Yes, sir.
and the federal government, excuse me, I'm sorry, not the federal government, but the Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
basically gutted affirmative action because of a group of Asians and a white lawyer sued basically because they felt black people were getting their spots in Ivy League schools,
Mm-hmm.
which really wasn't the case. But again, as I've said on multiple occasions, you put black on anything,
Mm-hmm.
it for whatever reason, other groups like to stop us from having things, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, in this lawsuit that was brought by this white lawyer, which we've discussed before in a earlier podcast, and a group of Asian students out of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill,
Mm-hmm.
was where these Asian students were going to school, and they brought up the lawsuit.
Right.
Now the Asian community are fearful that they won't get into these Ivy League schools because now affirmative action is not there anymore.
Right. Somebody didn't do their history.
Chad, I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
Right. Right.
That because you felt the need as Asian students to say that black people and brown people were getting your spots in Ivy League schools and schools of high, and not only Ivy League schools, but top tier schools,
Mm-hmm.
top tier PWIs,
Mm-hmm.
that you felt the need that you needed to sue because you felt that black people were taking something from you.
That you had
And
no ownership on to begin with.
exactly.
Let's put that out there.
Let's be clear. There's no owner. You have no ownership to any scholarship or any university or to give you a right, give you a education from their school. That's not something that's a priority. That's something that's not given to you or your own or you are owed that. That
Mm-hmm.
is something that's earned. And yes, this affirmative action did affirmative action help in leveling the playing field for black people? Of course it did. We're not saying that it didn't. Because guess what? If the playing field was level to begin with, we would have never needed affirmative action. So if
That's true.
affirmative action was needed, that means somebody saw that the playing field wasn't even. So to even the playing field, this law had to be made. But now, since it's no longer that, it's been gutted basically by this lawsuit by these Asian students.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're looking at it as, oh, now we can't get into these same schools. I,
Welcome to the dark side.
okay, I'm just
I've been
it
waiting to
is
say that for the longest, man. It's
it,
crazy because
it
now
is
look at this. Look at this.
mhm,
So
okay.
now they're fearful. So now they see what it feels like to be black.
Mm,
Pretty much. It's all
mm,
the way down to like in the article where it says, you know, you could have a great application, your essay is
yes.
tight, but when they see your name, I'm fearful that they'll just trash it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Man,
so are we
man.
going now to change our names, black and brown and yeah, and Asian folks? Are we changing names now just so it won't seem ethnic or cultural?
Right.
So that we can get into the school? Like this one like this one said, excuse me. This one said that her resume or her application was good,
Hmm.
everything looked good, but she said with her last name, you actually fill out the application and realize there's no way colleges won't figure out what race you are. Her older sister, who applied to colleges 5 years ago with a similar resume, got rejected from 18 or 20 or so schools and ended up at Boston College. She said ended
Hmm.
up at Boston College, like Boston College was
I
was
mean,
a bad college.
really. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I don't know what these students were looking at when they filed this lawsuit originally with North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and the other school.
Hmm.
And now I'm looking at the lawyer who represented them. Like, was he or she like, oh, they so stupid they don't realize what they didn't think this one
Basically,
through. But I'm just gonna get
that's
this money
that's exactly what it
because
is
I don't think
because
he sat down and said, hey guys, if look at this, if you think this through, if you do this, it's
mhm,
possible that you won't be
mhm,
able to get these spots like you're accustomed to getting, because this is
right.
about affirmative action, people of
Hmm.
color,
Minorities.
minorities. You are that.
That's
But
what
see,
you are.
y'all looked at it out of rage as black people. And see, the rage got the
Hmm.
best of you. And my thing is, now I'm looking at the lawyer like, did you have their best intentions in mind? I don't think he or she
No,
did, or they did.
no, no. And Chad, I can't remember the lawyer's name. Like I said, it was in his previous podcast that
Hmm.
when we talked about affirmative action and it being gutted by the Supreme Court. We had a deep dive
We did.
into that. So if you want to go back and listen to or watch that podcast, it is available on that deep dive we did on the gutting of affirmative action.
Hmm.
But again, Chad, it basically boils down to if you tie black to anything, and that's what this particular lawyer did, and this is what he's been doing since he's been trying to get rid of affirmative action,
Hmm.
and now he was successful in doing that using another minority against black people.
Right.
And so it's the ultimate cut off your nose to spite your face situation. It's guess what? I don't want to say goody,
But goody.
but good.
I'll say it.
Goody.
Because
That's
Pete, the article in the LA Times is talking about, if you
hmm
continue on down, it talks about how the Asian Korean folks, what how far they're willing to go to help their kids get into these elite schools by hiring
yes.
consultants and spending
Hmm.
thousands of dollars in there.
Hmm.
Like this one student known as a genius at San Marino High School ended up going to Pasadena City College, and moms are having mental breakdowns.
And you're doing all of this, and it doesn't matter
It doesn't.
because instead of doing the smart thing, if you're going to do that, if you were gonna be upset about not getting into these high end PWIs, the
Hmm.
Ivy League schools, and the upper crust of the PWIs.
Hmm.
Go after the legacy students. That's who you go after.
And I think they did. I think no
No,
longer legacy
oh
will
no,
be able to.
legacy students will never stop, especially in Ivy League schools, because uh, the majority, especially of your white graduates of
Come from money.
Harvard,
Yeah.
Yale, Brown, Cornell, their children are basically they have I don't care what their grades look like in high school. They basically have a free pass to go to these universities.
Because their parents got a name on a building or a field or
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Exactly. So again, this group of Asian students from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. See, you got caught up in a situation where you saw or you felt that black people were getting ahead of you,
Hmm.
and not realizing that you're a minority too.
Hmm.
You're not white adjacent. You're not. No, you're not. And now that group is showing you that guess what? You're a minority too. You're no
Hmm.
better. You're no better than that black man or woman that's trying to get into one of these high end PWIs. You're no different. You're no different. That we're going to treat you the same.
Hmm.
So again, Chad, what they should have done, they should have went after the legacy students. They should have went after these families that their kids and their kids are going to go to Harvard. They're going to go to Yale just because great granddaddy went to Yale, and like I said, Chad, he has a name on on a building
Hmm.
or whatever the case may be. But now you realize, and now you have found out that this is what it is. They don't discriminate just against black folk, but against everybody.
Hmm.
If
That
you
don't
if you
look
look
like them. Yeah.
that don't look like
Hmm.
it's real simple. But again, trying to be white adjacent,
I like
which
that.
again, which you can't be. You
Right.
you fail you fail for the banana in the tailpipe.
That's true.
And affirmative action has been gutted and basically removed, and now you're sitting in the same place as black students Latino students, uh, Native American students. I mean, you're now in the same boat because guess what? When they look at your application and see your last name on it, guess what? Just like you
Hmm.
said earlier, Chad, we can choose to throw that away,
That's true.
and there's no repercussions now.
None at all.
You can't sue now because guess what? There's no affirmative action anymore.
Thank you, Clarence Thomas. Anyway, the
Mm,
but the one thing, how do I say this? One tragedy or
mhm.
setback, depending on how you look at it, can also be a blessing in other areas.
Okay.
And the way I see this, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent because we're talking about the affirmative action, but it kind of plays into this.
Hmm.
Even though this happens, and I'm talking right now specifically for the black folks,
Right.
but it can also apply to the Latinos and Asians too. But because this is happening, this is going to cause a significant increase in rise of applications to HBCUs.
Yes,
This is
sir.
also going to give HBCUs the ability to have cream of the crop students.
Hmm.
Not to say that they don't,
Right.
but you and I know it's just like with the Negro Baseball League and everything else. We'll have our own, and they'll come and take the best of the best and
Hmm.
and collapse it. So that's where I'm coming from. This is no shade to HBCUs and their establishments and their way of training our young people to go out into the world. I came from one myself, but
Hmm.
what I am saying is that our black kids with exceptional talent as far as the grades and the SAT, ACT
Right.
scores and all of that stuff
Hmm.
that usually apply and go to, Harvard, Yale, so and so.
Hmm.
Now they will be applying to our HBCUs, which will give a lot of more credit
Right.
and money because all of our HBCUs, I don't care which one you are, needs money
Oh, for
because we
sure.
did a segment a while back about
Hmm.
the governments and states not funding our HBCUs like they were supposed to be.
Exactly.
So this is another way to get our cream of the crop back from our
Hmm.
communities.
Hmm.
Also increase finances in these universities, which will
Right.
also help provide better services, quality of professors, and
Hmm.
tools needed to equip our kids so that they can go out in a global society and compete.
And I hope, Chad, I really hope that is the case. I hope
Yeah.
that really does happen.
Well, like I
That
said in that previous podcast, not to cut you off, but like I said,
okay.
that when they interviewed the president from I forgot the HBCU, but he said I can't remember which one, but he said the past couple of years they've noticed a significant increase in
Hmm.
applications from top tier black students to where
Yeah.
usually they would
Yeah. I
usually
think that
go
was Walter Kimbrough from Dillard. Wasn't that Walter
Dillard.
Kimbrough
Okay,
from yeah
okay,
from
okay,
Dillard?
yeah.
Yeah, Dillard University. Yes, sir.
These particular kids that would usually go to Harvard, Brown, Yale, they apply there and get in
Hmm.
with the affirmative action, of course. Now they will be applying to they are applying to the HBCUs,
Right.
which is going to put a bigger light, bigger responsibility, more finances into these
Hmm.
HBCUs so that we can,
Hmm.
even better educate and equip our kids with the tools to compete in a global society. So yeah, I'm kind of
Hmm.
hoping that too, Pete. This could be
Yeah.
a blessing in disguise. I mean, we're looking at it like, oh man, but at the same time, it could be like, hey, this could
Hmm.
be what you call a return to glory
Yeah,
type
because
situation.
Chad, I mean, firsthand, coming and graduating from an HBCU, one of the best HBCUs in the country. You North Carolina A&T. You know that some of the best scientific work, some of the best agricultural work comes from HBCUs.
Yes,
So
that is
so
true.
again, yeah. So again, I mean, if I really, like you said, Chad, I really hope that happens because again, that like you said, that means more money.
Hmm.
That means more advances. It's just a win-win for HBCUs if some of these students who want to go to these high-end PWIs or whatever the case may be, if they start coming to the going to HBCUs, can you imagine some of these the great black minds not only black minds, Latino minds, Asian minds, start, you know, just just driving their application into HBCUs.
Here's the funny
It
thing,
would
and
it would be phenomenal.
I agree. And here's the funny thing about that, Pete. And real quick,
Hmm.
let me clear up something because I didn't clear it up the last time, and I hate that I didn't because I don't want to give any falsities or whatever. I ain't get to finish A&T. I
Okay.
did go there, but I ain't get to finish. That was athletics college. I messed up my knee. Long story, but I didn't get to finish.
Okay.
But I claim A&T because that's where I went. You're right. I did go there, but
Okay.
I didn't get to finish there. All right.
Okay.
Second thing I wanted I want to talk about is the fact. The funny thing about this though is, and some white people have already picked up on it, and it made a lot of black people mad, but it's legal. So with PWIs, when you get minorities that go there, you usually can get a scholarship because
Hmm.
you're a minority, right?
Right. Right.
And it also helps if your grades are excellent, which they have to be to a certain extent if you're
Yeah,
going to
they
a
have
top
to.
tier, right?
Yes,
So
sir. Yes,
reverse
sir.
it. So HBCUs, if we get a flood of Asians or white people, guess what? They're going to get scholarships off the rip because
Right.
now they are minorities because
Hmm.
they're going to an HBCU. I witnessed this firsthand when I was going to T. There was a cheerleader there. She was Caucasian. Full ride.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
think our kicker at the time was a white dude. And like I said, it's no shade. It's just they
Hmm.
learned the system. And
Right.
North Carolina State University, located in Greensboro, North Carolina, has a great world renowned. I'll be so bold as to say world renowned
Hmm.
engineering program
Yes, sir.
because
Yes, sir.
I know for a fact that they have worked with NASA, and I believe they still do have a contract with NASA to some
Hmm.
extent. So a lot of
Hmm.
those engineers in that engineering department are getting that experience, are getting that exposure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
again, like I said, this may look like a oh man that this is the end of the world to some people, but we gotta we gotta change the way we look at this because this could really be better off for us as a people.
Right.
Think about it. Anytime that we have been left to our own demise, we've always thrived.
Exactly.
Look at Black Wall Street in Greensboro. Look at Black
Hmm.
Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Look at Black
Right.
Wall Street in just about any other state
Hmm.
that we've been in that we've been left to our own demise. Y'all get that side of town, do what you want. We'll stay over here.
Hmm.
If you look at that before the riots, we thrived.
Yeah, yeah. That's a key word, Chad, before the riots, because we were thriving and then they were like, oh, really? Oh, y'all can really do this. Let's burn your whole city down. Let's
Yeah,
burn your whole
we don't
town
like
down.
the fact that y'all doing better.
Exactly. After you told us, y'all need to go over there and do better.
You can't
But
live with us.
that's another show for
It is.
another
It
day.
is. Let's stay on it.
Ooh-wee.
But it all this is why we have
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
affirmative action in the first
Yes.
place. So then when we have the National Baseball League, Negro Baseball League,
Hmm.
because y'all don't want to play with black people, you don't want to touch us, you don't want us to be around you except for to serve you. So we go get our own league. We travel around the country playing,
Hmm.
each other,
Hmm.
and we killing the game, making all these records,
Hmm.
knocking the ball out of parks,
Hmm.
out of cities. And now
Hmm.
y'all want to come and see what the humdrum is about. Well, who's this
Hmm.
Jackie Robinson? Who's this Satchel Paige that's striking out people?
Hmm.
And he can't be better than our white players. And then you go see him like, God, dog.
Hmm.
Imagine if he was playing
Hmm.
for the Dodgers right now.
Right.
And
Right.
see, let's go to the movie 42 with our beloved Chadwick Boseman
Hmm.
and the owner for the Dodgers, I believe it was, right? Was it the
Hmm.
Dodgers?
Dodgers. Yeah. Brooklyn
Mickey.
Dodgers.
Mickey was the owner, right?
Hmm.
They really tried to paint the picture like he was doing this because
Hmm.
years ago he saw this black man, something was bad was happening to him or whatever, and he didn't do anything about it, and he felt like this was his way of that's
Hmm.
bull crap. I didn't buy that for a minute. I mean,
Hmm.
the writers did the best they could.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
This was about money. This
Mm.
wasn't about your morality or trying to do right by that black person that you negated
Hmm.
years ago. This was about freaking money.
That's what it's about.
This is about money. You saw a black man that could do something that nobody in your league was able to do. And you knew
For
if you
sure.
brought this to the National Baseball League, that white folks was going to flock in droves to see this black man do the
Hmm.
impossible.
Hmm.
More money, more money, more money. That's all it
That's what
was.
that's what it
So
said. Hmm.
now you've got a feature on your team that no matter where you travel,
Mhm.
he gonna sell the seats out.
Man,
Even though they wanted to see him
put a pin in that.
lose.
Put a pin
Okay,
in that,
okay.
man. We go ahead. Put a pin in that. Put a
Sorry,
pin in that.
sorry,
We go.
sorry. Oh, Jesus. But
Yeah, put a
it
pin.
still goes back to affirmative action, though.
Exactly.
It does.
Exactly. Yeah,
Everything goes
for
back
sure.
to affirmative.
For
Everything we
sure.
do, from where we
For sure.
live to where we
Hmm.
go to school to where we play sport, everything. Because you ain't want nothing to do with it. Why do you think we have HBCUs?
There it
Because you
is.
didn't want us going to your school.
Your schools. Exactly.
We did this
Exactly.
on several podcasts ago.
Yeah.
Remember, the state
Yeah.
said, well, since they can't go to your schools and be an equal, then you have to allow
That,
them and give them the money to build their own schools to educate their own people.
right. Right. And,
Affirmative doggone action.
yeah. Yeah. It's really crazy about this situation now that you know you're on the forefront. You were on the forefront of destroying affirmative action, and now since it's gone, now you find yourself in the same boat as the people you tried to take it from.
Mm. And I
That's
have
something.
no, not mercy, but I have no, I don't feel sorry for you.
Not at all. Not
I
at
don't feel
all.
sorry for you.
But because I don't feel sorry for you because we know why you did it.
Yeah.
We understand why you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you basically said in the lawsuit
Yep.
that, affirmative action wasn't fair because you felt that black students were getting uh, scholarships and getting into universities that you felt your people should have gotten those spots.
We're taking
And
your spots. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and now you see that you are no different than any black man or Latino man or Native American. You're a minority just like we are.
No
And
matter
you're
how
in that.
much you try to mimic them or marry into
Hmm.
their ethnicity or whatever you want to call it, you are still an Asian person.
Yeah, and
And
you're
you
still
should
a
be
minority.
fine with that. And you're still a minority. And you should be good with that. But that's not enough for y'all.
But again, I don't think it's an issue of not enough. It's an issue of you felt that black people in particular
Mm-hmm. Because you called
was
us out
taking your
specifically.
yeah yeah
Yeah.
yeah, we're taking your spots in these PWIs because of affirmative action, and you took that anger and a person took your anger and put it into a lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
tricking you and fooling you and giving the ammunition to get rid of affirmative action. And again, Chad, now that it's gone, now that you've realized that you need it now because
Mm-hmm.
now the playing field, there's no playing field now.
Right.
There's not even close to being an equal playing field now because basically colleges and universities now can say we just picking all white students
And then you
with
can't
with
believe anything that
with,
the universities are saying, even though they're
with
saying
no
we're still
yeah with
going
no
to use
repercussion.
da 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 da. No, because you don't have to.
You don't have to. You don't have to anymore.
And you don't have to
So
prove it.
exactly. So again, this is the ultimate cut off your nose to spite your face situation. And like I said, I feel no sympathy for you
None.
at all. I
Sorry.
feel no sympathy for you because you targeted my people.
Mm-hmm.
So
And now you become like us to them. Well, you've always been there, but I don't think you saw it. But now
yeah,
you see it.
now you see it.
Pete, let's move on. We'll be on this all day.
Let's do
This chaps
it.
my hide. Like my brother said, this chaps my hide. But yes, folks, something for y'all to think about. This is a big deal, really big deal. Love your
Yeah.
HBCUs, good, bad, or indifferent. They're not
Yeah.
perfect. They're not horrible. They are what you make it.
Yep. Exactly.
Your child can complain all day long, but the experience is what you make it and what you put into. What you put into it is what you get out. That's with anything in life.
Exactly. Exactly.
So nothing's gonna be handed to you.
Right.
So, all right, the next topic we're talking about: the federal courts threatened to deal a death blow to the Voting Rights Act. It has already been done to several states. They are already, the vast majority of Voting Rights Act claims are brought by private citizens and civil rights groups who foot the bill for time-consuming litigation to protect voting rights. The DOJ, with limited staff and resources, typically brings just a small fraction of cases fought nationally. Just a little highlight on that. But A panel of judges in a federal court appeals court said Monday. This article was brought out a couple weeks ago, November 20th. That only federal government, not citizens and groups, can sue under a key part of the Voting Rights Act, effectively gutting the legislation in 7 states. The ruling, which applies to Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, found that only the U.S. Attorney General is able to bring a suit under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The ruling is sure to be challenged, likely to the Supreme Court, which has limited the voters' law power significantly over the past decade. If this ruling were allowed to stand, it would decimate the Voting Rights Act. And this was said by UCLA School of Law Professor Rick Hasen, Hasen, an election law expert. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit ruled Monday that the Arkansas State Conference, NAACP, and the Arkansas Public Policy Panel could not challenge redistricting maps in Arkansas because Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act does not provide a private right of action, meaning with NAACP being an entity and not federal government, they can't sue. Right. Like I just told y'all, only people who can sue now is the DOJ. That's the only people that can sue.
Yeah, in those states, in those
7 states right now. Now, just a little tidbit of information. Down here in Atlanta, Georgia, there's a situation where the Supreme Court here, local, is telling the Republicans, because they're the majority right now, that they have to redraw the districting maps and make it fair. And the judge also said, if you can't do it, I'll be more than happy to do it for you. Right. But we all know with the Republicans that it's not going to be about fairness. It's going to be about power. They're going to draw them in a way that they can gain or sustain power.
Sustain power, yes, sir.
So don't look for them to be, quote unquote, fair in my eyes about drawing out these maps. They're not going to be fair. They're looking for power. And I know the judge knows that, but he has to give them the opportunity to try to redraw the maps to make it fair for black voters here in Georgia. So I'm keeping an eye on that down here myself, because that's a really big deal too.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, we as in Pete and I, we want you guys, the masses, to know that this is serious business, folks. And for those of you who say that voting doesn't matter, go ahead, Pete. You take this one.
No, I'm not. Nah, you were going right where I was going, because if it didn't matter, because we got a lot of people that look like us. What I ain't going out there to vote. I vote for what? Yada yada yada. If it wasn't important, they would not take all of these strides to gut the Voting Rights Act or to try to stop black people from voting.
Right.
If it wasn't important.
They've been doing this for years, y'all. If you know anything about Black history or American history, because Black history is American history.
American history, exactly.
If you don't know, if you have not done any research, you should know they have been tormenting us and intimidating us for years when it comes to voting.
To vote. Yes, sir.
They know how powerful our vote is. Yes. Every vote, not necessarily presidential vote, but every vote, when it comes down to local, state, it always falls on us which way the pendulum is going to tilt.
Exactly.
Every time.
Exactly. It's just hilarious to me that people, especially in a certain political group, they go out of their way to try to disenfranchise the black vote. And then somehow, Chad, no matter, unfair voting laws, unfair voting districts, they try to restrict us from voting, and they do everything in their power, whether it's mail-in ballots, whether it's drop boxes, whether it's just having one polling place in a whole county. They've done all of this stuff to impede the vote of the black man and woman.
Let me tell you something.
And guess what, Chad?
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't pop off right the way folks want it to, guess who gets the blame? We do.
Mm-hmm.
If black people would have voted, X, Y, and Z would have happened.
Yep.
Mind you, we're just 12% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
No, if other folk would have voted the way they should have voted, there's no issue.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow, Chad, this is how this works out for black people. Somehow we get on the front end, they create laws that draw districts and do everything in their power to
Mm-hmm.
stop black people from voting.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the back end, Chad, if it doesn't go right,
Mm-hmm.
we are blamed
Right.
for it not going right.
That's true.
How does that even work?
It's damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Chad, how does that even work? We have
Yep.
the most laws and the most things in this country to disenfranchise us from voting. Like I said, whether it's the drawing of voting maps or it's putting one polling place in a whole county or uh, no early voting or no drop boxes or whatever the case may be, mostly in black communities.
Yeah.
And we can't vote or we can't get to the polls or whatever the case may be. Somehow in the end, we are still blamed
Oh yeah, no
for
doubt.
whatever reason. Because let me say something real quick, Chad, and I'll let you have the floor. I saw
Mm-hmm.
something on Twitter the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care nothing about X's Twitter to me. Uh, Mehdi Hassan, which is he's an anchor on MSNBC.
Yeah.
He tweeted something to the effect that over Thanksgiving or the holidays that he was talking to many of his Arab brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying that they weren't going to vote because of what's going on in Gaza,
Mm-hmm.
with how Israel is treating the Palestinians and how
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. government is backing Israel and
Mm-hmm.
all of these other things. So they said we're not going to vote. We're not going to vote for this particular candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And then I responded and I said, and somehow black people will be blamed for this. Black people will be blamed. I mean, these people are openly saying we're not going to vote
And nobody holds
for
them to
what
the fire.
exactly. We're not going to vote for because the way the United States is backing Israel and the conflict in Gaza between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to vote. But Chad, I guarantee you, if a particular person gets in the White House in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
you know who they're going to blame? Us.
Yeah. Yeah.
If black people would have done X, Y, and Z, if black people would have came out and voted, if black people would have knocked on people's doors and got out to vote, and then you look at the numbers, the majority of black people, especially black women, are one
Mm-hmm.
of the biggest voting blocks in this country.
That's true.
But it's black people's fault. Okay. All right.
I just want to, and I agree with you. Let me be clear on that.
Mhm.
But I just want to harp on our people not voting.
Oh, true.
You know what I'm saying? Because the most recent situation that should open your eyes is your boy from Kentucky didn't get reelected, who sat there and let Breonna get killed in her sleep. The attorney general.
Daniel Cameron. Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
He did not get reelected.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't show you the power of voting, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what does. Because you can't complain and get mad when you don't have people in the right positions
Mm-hmm.
that are for you.
Exactly.
He definitely was not for us
Mm-hmm.
to allow that woman to get murdered like that.
Yeah. Actually, he was running for the governor of Kentucky.
Right. But he was
Yeah.
attorney. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
AG. Yeah, he was
Okay.
AG of Kentucky, but then he decided he wanted to be governor of
And he did.
Kentucky, and he got his head beat in,
Right.
basically. And
Which
so,
which shows you. I
hmm
mean, and that's just the most recent one that I can think of. I think there's one or two more. But
hmm
my thing is, if we do it like this locally, starting locally where you are,
yes,
working
sir.
from the inside out, we can
Yes, sir.
eventually get to the change somewhere
hmm
of where we
hmm
need to be. And then when we
hmm
start sending senators and congressmen that
hmm
represent our communities and our wards, our districts, we really
hmm
need to, question the heck out of them and really understand what their motives are. Because most of them are bought by corporations.
Oh, sure. And,
Most of
and
them are
that's
bought. Hmm.
and that's the big thing, Chad. I try to, get people to understand is uh, you can't just vote every 4 years.
Right.
I mean, you. It starts in your city. It starts in your town, your community. That's where it starts.
Hmm.
If you want a better school system, you need to vote on the school board.
Or
Vote
get on it.
or, exactly, or get on it. Exactly, Chad.
Hmm.
Or if you want things to be run better in your city, you got to vote for your mayor and your county commissioners and your
Hmm.
sheriffs. I mean,
These are
it's
the people
more
who
than
can make it happen for you
in
in
your
your area.
community.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Chad, that's where it starts.
Hmm. And
I
these are the
mean,
people that you got to call and hold accountable,
yes, sir.
especially if you help put them in office. Look, I helped put you in because
Mm-hmm.
you said you were standing on this, and this, or you want to get
Mm-hmm.
this, and this done.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't see it happening. And if it don't happen, either one or two things, you got a doggone good excuse, or you gonna be replaced.
We gonna get you up out the paint.
It's that easy. It's that simple.
Yeah. But people don't. A lot of people, especially black folk, don't realize it's more than every 4 years. This is bigger than the presidency.
Correct.
This is starting in your local community. Like I
Hmm.
said, starting with your school board, starting with your mayor, starting with your city council
County
members,
commissioner. Hmm.
county commissioners, all of those things. That's where it starts.
Hmm.
And if you can't vote then every 2 years, what voting for the president means, because guess what? He can't change your situation in Atlanta.
Right. That's right.
He can't change your situation in Macon, Georgia.
Correct.
He can't change his situation where I'm up here in North Carolina, where I'm at.
Whatever bill he signed off on is going to take 2 to 3 to 4 years for that to even happen.
And that's federal.
And that's federal, right?
Exactly. So again, if voting wasn't so important, if it wasn't so important, just like with affirmative action, we wouldn't need a Voting Rights Act. We would have never needed a Voting Rights Act.
Listen, when they got
Hmm
you at the voting polls and they got
hmm
this jar of jelly beans up here and they saying if you can guess how many jelly beans in here, you can vote, which is daggum near impossible to do.
hmm
When you go to the voting polls and they say you got to know all the counties and you got to recite them by heart,
hmm
think about that. This actually happened here in the United States to black people in order for them to vote.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
silly these folks were
hmm
as far as trying to keep black people from voting. These were the
Right.
rules that were set in place, and especially in the Deep South.
Yes, sir.
When you wanted to
Yes,
vote,
sir.
do you know all the counties?
hmm
How many jelly beans are in this jar, or rocks, or pebbles, or whatever? And you had to get. If you couldn't
hmm
guess it, you couldn't vote. There is a reason why they don't want us to vote. And you're not even putting up a fight. You're just saying, I don't want to hell with it. I don't want to vote anyway. You're feeding into the enemy's hands. So then
Right.
when they start peeling back these rights, like affirmative action,
hmm
like the
Voting
Voting
Rights Act.
Rights Act, like
hmm
the abortion laws,
hmm
they're slowly taking us back, guys. And y'all don't see it. Then you want to sit up here and complain, and you want to riot, and you want to march, talking about you want a difference. The power has been in your hand all along.
The whole time.
It's the funniest thing. Is like you want to keep something secret, put it in plain sight.
hmm and my thing is this, Chad. I mean, and that's my first question. Did you vote? And if you tell me
Right.
no,
If you tell me
why
no, I
why
don't want
why,
to hear
why are you
nothing.
talking to me? Why are you
Yes.
talking to me? Why are you talking to me?
Yes.
Why is there even a discussion? Why you no?
Because you
Keep it
want to talk
pushing.
about in the barbershops and on the corners, demand this, and we need to. You always talk about demand and what we need to do, but there's no action coming from your end. But you steady complaining
Mm-hmm.
about the people who are running. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't care if it's Democratic or and let's be clear. I'm gonna throw myself in in this pot too because I've done it too. So
Mm-hmm.
full transparency. Okay, so you don't have to come back with me no holier than thou. I was part of that too at one point in time. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
got the right and the left, they all connected to the same bird. That may be the case. The lesser of two evils. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, try not voting and letting them have their way and see what happens.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, you can sit up here and
Mm-hmm.
complain and try to
Mm-hmm.
the red side. Can I say that? I don't know. But you can sit up here and try to play, like you in just this deep thought and you're just this prolific philosopher. And
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, there's two candidates. And actually, it could be a third if we as a community go out and find somebody who we feel like aligns with our morals and our thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and what we want for our
Mm-hmm.
community and
Mm-hmm.
prop them up with the right people around him or her.
Right.
And let's be clear, with the money to run, because you need
Mm-hmm.
money to run. And
Yes.
say, hey, we feel like you'll be a great candidate for our community, for our district, ward, whatever. These
Mm-hmm.
are our uh this is our agenda, what we want
Mm-hmm.
for our community, whatever, whatever, whatever. Does this look good to you? Is this something you can rock with? Because if
Mm-hmm.
so, I've got the voters and I've got the money ready to support you.
Right.
See, we don't
Right.
go that far.
Mm-hmm.
We just get
Mm-hmm.
mad because we see two people that are like, I don't like neither one of them. Okay, so what do we do?
Yeah. What are we gonna do about it?
What do we
What are we
do?
gonna do
Let's go
about it?
find somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or there might be somebody in our community. Hey, would you be interested if we
Mm-hmm.
rallied around you and supported you?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it? But see, we don't go that far. We just complain, complain, complain. But we have put no plan, no agenda together to combat
Mm-hmm.
what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get
And
mad because, like, well, they come to the community and want our votes, and then when they get them, we don't see them no more. What are we gonna do? How do we stop it? Stop complaining.
pick up the phone,
Right? How do we
use your
stop it?
email. Exactly. Exactly. And put in you have to put pressure on the people that you put in office. But first of all, before that, Chad, before you can put pressure on anybody, you gotta vote.
Mm. It always comes back to
It's always gonna come back to that.
yeah.
And again, they're putting all of these things in place to stop our people from voting.
Hmm.
And I go back to it and I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't be doing all of these things to stop us from voting.
They wouldn't. Listen,
They
listen to
wouldn't.
this. Listen to this. They don't stop the ignorant music that we as a people put out. The over sexualized,
Hmm.
stupid music that we put out.
Pumping it on the radio station.
Right. They don't stop that. They
Mm-mm.
don't mind us degrading ourselves and our
At
women
all.
and
At
talking about
all.
drugs.
At
If you
all.
think about it, there's no more conscious rap. And I'm still on the voting rights. Just hear me out. But the powers that be vote on what plays and what doesn't.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you realize for years now, there's no conscious rap. There's no rap out there on the airwaves on mainstream talking about uplifting our people, thinking about
Hmm.
economics, thinking about
Hmm.
politics, thinking
Hmm.
about community
Yeah.
or service. You don't
Hmm.
hear that anymore. It's
Yeah.
okay for us to degrade each other, but when we try to
Hmm.
get together and put a
Right.
plan together on how we want to better our communities, our people, our
Hmm.
economics, that's the stuff that gets shut down. And that
Exactly.
all comes in with voting.
Hmm.
All of
Yeah.
it. Because these are the people we put in place that say yay or nay to whatever helps or hurts us.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to get people who don't want to vote or don't get into politics. All right. All right.
All right. Look. All right. Cool.
Okay. Okay.
If
But
if, if
when things don't go the way it's planned
hmm.
and we wind up losing these rights and it's harder for us to get our kids into good schools or get good jobs when we're struggling, don't open your mouth.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Don't open your mouth
Mm-mm.
because we have the power. We just
Uh,
need to put a plan and an agenda behind it.
right. Right. Yeah, just I just tell all people, man, vote. Get out and vote, man. Just I mean, it's more than every 4 years. You got to vote in the midterms. You have to vote with every 2 years with for your city councils and all of these things. You have to vote. You have to vote because it's that important. It's that important.
It is.
It's basically between between here lately, the way it's looking, it may be the difference between freedom and slavery for our people.
Bruh, the next couple years is gonna be crucial to us
Yeah,
as the people. It's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
very crucial.
yeah. The way it's looking, this is between maybe a question of freedom and slavery.
Mm-hmm.
How far will this be taken back?
Y'all gotta
How many
remember
laws will
this.
be how many laws will be stripped from us?
Y'all gotta remember they call this the American experience. This is they didn't say that about Europe or Japan.
Yeah, the experiment. Yeah, American experiment.
Experiment,
Yeah,
excuse me.
yeah.
The American experiment, not experience.
Mm-hmm.
Experiment.
Mm-hmm.
This is an experiment. It's been going on for hundreds of years now.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. No other country has that title behind it. We're the only one that has that title, the American experiment.
Yeah.
So,
I tell
all
you
right,
that,
man.
like I said, man, get out there and vote, please.
Please do. Please do.
If you don't do it for yourself, do it for me and Chad.
Please. I beg you. Do it for your kids, your nieces and nephews, because
Yes.
they're coming in behind us.
Yep.
They coming in this world behind us, and we want
Yep.
to leave this world a little better than what we found it. Hopefully, that's
Exactly.
our thought process. But moving on, man, we're going to go into now the album of the week,
Yes, sir. The classic album of
the
the week, and
classic album of the week.
yes, sir.
Y'all, if you driving, you might want to pull over. If you standing around working, you might want to sit down, cause this is heavy duty, heavy duty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chad hit us one with our last podcast. It was Mike Jackson, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
MJ.
was it, yeah,
Yeah,
it was MJ last album. Well, this album, I was telling Chad off air that, I wanted to set up, our classic albums, starting off with I started off with a little jazz, a little R&B and
he did.
this, that, and the third. And now it's time to get real. Time to
Uh-oh.
get real because our roots are, we cover all music. We love all music, but it's just
Indeed.
something about hip hop. It's
Mm.
just something about hip hop that man, especially us old heads, our
Mm-hmm.
50 and over cats.
Yes,
That
sir. The
that
golden
hip
era.
hop. Yeah. Hip hop means something different to us. You know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? So
Yes, sir.
so yeah, today's classic album, we're taking it back to 1987.
Ah,
1987,
come on,
and
Pete.
this album right here changed the game because we got to go back and give a little history lesson. See, before this album right here,
Mm-hmm.
very simplistic raps. You might have had
True.
one particular person that and I'll probably be hitting him a little later that had a little back then it was rough rap
It was
lyrics
the
was
exploratory age. It was
yeah
new. You know what I'm saying? People were
yeah
trying
rap
to figure it.
lyrics were ad libs.
Yeah.
If you listen to any old school hip hop pre 85
Mm-hmm.
pre
Mm-hmm.
85 you know what I'm saying Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
They
Sugar
was doing a
Hill.
lot of nursing. Yeah, Sugar Hill and nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Grass and cash and blah blah blah. Little simple like nursery rhymes. But
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
album right here,
Oh, in my Cat Williams voice. This right here, brother. This one
this
right
right
here.
here. Today's classic album is paid in full by Eric B. and Rakim. This album, and it's one other album, which is probably going to be my next classic album of the week. To me, is the most important, not the greatest,
Mm-hmm.
because my next album to me is the greatest.
Mm.
But this
Strong
album
statement.
is the probably the most important album in his hip hop history. because this changed the game. Because this album right here showed us that there would be no more simple raps.
Mm.
Because Rakim
Who?
gave us something. Rakim, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. In my eyes,
Ooh. Ooh.
I can only speak for me.
Ooh.
He is the greatest of all time in my eyes.
Our
Nothing.
YouTube finna get lit up now.
I don't care who comes or who goes. You can talk about Jay-Z and you can talk about Black Thought. Love Black Thought. Love
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, right.
Love the Pharaoh Monches and the Most Defs and all of these, the Red Mans and Meths and
Mm-hmm.
all of these, the Ghostface and
Right.
nobody compared to this dude because this guy he was the one. He was Neo. If you're a
Mm.
Matrix fan,
Was he the chosen?
he was the chosen one. He was Neo of the rap game. Yes, sir. Dodging bullets. Because Chad, this album right here started a a revolution in hip hop.
So real quick, you're saying this album right here pretty much set the bar and it put everybody on notice. If you coming out after this,
Yes, sir.
okay.
This album set the bar. It is the standard bearer for golden era hip hop.
Mm.
This is the one that started it all. Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is Rakim.
Mm.
Chad, I can go back and I remember the first time I heard Eric B. and Rakim. And see, we from the same area. We both from Texas,
Yes.
North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And look,
Loud and proud.
we all know Big Frank Monroe.
Yes, sir.
At least
Yes, sir.
we know Big Frank Monroe. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a lot of y'all don't, but we do. And we were at a park, a very popular park that we hooped at, called Kiwanis Park.
Kiwanis. Yes, sir.
And in a little community, a little black community called East Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
We're out there hooping. Now, mind you, this is 1987.
Mm.
That would be 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Monroe was like Radio Raheem.
Mm.
He walked around with boombox.
Good analogy. Yeah.
So we at the park hooping, and he hits play on his boombox. And what came out of that boombox changed my life forever.
Are you testifying, brother?
Chad, when I heard check out my melody, hand out a cigar, let the knowledge be born because my name's the R. We stopped hooping
And just started listening.
because we didn't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
This album is so important to the hip hop community. Again, Chad, it changed the game. It was the bar. It was the bar. It was the standard because you had to come like this. There was no longer
nursery rhymes.
There's no more nursery rhymes.
You had to sit down with a pen and a pad.
You had to sit down with a pen and a pad to match this man's knowledge, to match this man's his pen. I mean, we start off, Chad, with "I Ain't No Joke,"
and he was.
I used to let the mic smoke.
Mm-hmm. But what?
I can't go no further with that. Now, people with this album, it's two particular songs on this album, if you want to call them songs, on this album that were instrumental. Mm-hmm. That a lot of people, give it or whatever. Okay, fine. If that's what you want to do, cool. But you can't deny my melody, which arguably has the greatest line in hip hop history. It's probably the greatest bar in hip hop history to me.
I don't know.
You know what it is, Chad.
I don't know.
7 MCs put them in a line. And I take 7 more brothers who think they can rhyme.
Can rhyme, yeah.
It'll take 7 more before I go for mine.
Now that's what?
And it's 21 MCs ate up at the same time. Arguably the greatest bar in hip hop history.
He gave you content and mathematics. At the same time.
In the same time. This man is multiplying in the bar. We never heard anything like this. We never heard anything like that.
Nah.
And then probably my favorite my favorite song on the album.
Hmm.
I Know You Got Soul.
See, that's the first song off the album that I heard. I was at a family reunion in '86,
See.
'87 here, and my,
Okay.
my my cousins from New York came down,
Mm-hmm.
and we was all sitting out under the tent just kicking it. And my
Mm-hmm.
cousin, she put it on the boombox, and the first song that I ever heard from them cats was "I Got Soul."
It's been a long time. I shouldn't have
Mm.
left you
Without what?
without a strong rhyme to step to. Think of how many deep songs I slept through.
Time's
Time's up.
up.
I'm sorry I
Sorry,
can't. Thinking of this, you keep repeating it. Dad, this was 1987 when I heard this.
this could go today and still hit hard.
It does because I listened to it to work, going to work the other day. What if move the crowd?
Because first of all, ain't no mistakes allowed.
Okay. Then we go to Paid in Full. We ain't even got to Paid in Full yet. That's before Paid. And then when Paid in Full,
What did MC mean? Because to me, MC means
move the
move
crowd.
the crowd.
There, EMCEE. See, because I always thought MC was the letters MC.
I did too.
This.
Mm-hmm.
And Rakim told me, no, the proper spelling of MC is EMCC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, MEMCEE. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
As the rhyme goes on, where they use the Beastie Boys sample. But pump it up, homeboy, just like that. Eric B is president. Clap your hands.
Mm.
Dun-dun, dun-dun, mm, 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 mm. I came in the door.
Oh,
Said it before.
I never
I'm
never let the mic magnetize me no more.
no.
Never.
It's biting me, fighting me, inviting me to rhyme. I can't hold it
back.
Taking off my coat.
Yes,
clearing
my throat. The rhymes will be kicking until I hit my next
the
note.
last note.
The last note, excuse me. Yes.
Yes, sir. Chad, this album, and I know we really vibing off of it. This album was so important to hip hop.
Every song on it was a top 10 hit.
Song on this album, excluding, of course, people say the instrumentals, which is Chinese Arithmetic and what's the what is it? Eric B is on the cut, where Eric B scratching and all that stuff.
Couple fun facts.
Even they were dope. Even they were dope to me.
Oh yeah, the whole thing was dope. It should be a masterpiece. But the couple fun facts about Rakim is the fact that he was a student of jazz music. The brother loved it. You could tell it in all of his cuts. You could tell if you can't, something wrong with you.
His mother and father were jazz musicians.
He played too. I think it was either the trumpet or the saxophone.
Yeah, he plays, I think, 4 or 5 instruments. I think he said in the interview. Yeah, in the interview. Mm-hmm.
So he was like, when he rhymes, he tries to do it to like the rhythm of what he hears in the of a jazz record that he hears, or maybe the break in the beat, and that's how he kind of patterned his cadence. The dude was a freaking genius.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
the dude was a genius.
Yeah, and it's just from his monotone style, from his monotone rap style, to the lyrics that we had never heard before, to the beats, to the way he wrote a beat.
Not only the lyrics, but to me, the delivery.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the way he did.
The cadence and the cadence and the delivery was so fresh at that time.
Right.
It was something you've never heard before.
You never heard it before.
And it was like, yo, you would sit at the boombox. At first, you rocking because the beat is dope. Then you just start listening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At least that's my experience. Let me say that.
Right.
Because
Right.
of course the beat is the first thing that's gonna catch you.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he starts spitting, he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
did you hear that? And for
Yes.
those of you younger folks who don't know, with the boombox, you had buttons on there because it was a tape cassette.
Yeah.
And sometimes we
Upset.
had to hit the stop and then we hit the rewind, let it rewind, and then hit
Mm-hmm.
play and let it play back
Mm-hmm.
again. Y'all don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do that now. Y'all got
Yeah.
MP3s and
Y'all don't know.
downloads and
Y'all don't
stuff.
know those struggles. Y'all know those struggles.
We'll break a tape on a favorite artist just to
Oh,
hear
sure.
some stuff easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But to keep hitting rewind, what did he say again? What did he say? And then you
Exactly.
stop and you dwell on it. It's like, it's like having devotion. You
Honestly.
know how you read the scripture and you sit there and you ponder on it, what it means, what you think it means, how you can apply it
Mm-hmm.
to your life today. It's
Mm-hmm.
like having devotion with hip
Mm-hmm.
hop though, but it's with hip
Yeah.
hop lyrics. So you sitting there listening to Rakim,
Mm-hmm.
and he says a line or two or a bar or two, and you're like, yo, wait, you stop, because you gotta
Hold
let
on.
that stuff sink in. It's you
Mm-hmm.
got to feel that. So you
Mm-hmm.
rewind it back, and you play that again,
Mm-hmm.
and you listen and you stop it again, and you like,
Right.
dog.
Right.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It's the
Mm-hmm.
best way I can
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah. And I mean, we can go back to my melody, which to me is it was groundbreaking because Rakim spit, what was it, 4 verses, no hook,
Yeah.
4 verses, no hook. My melody's over 6 minutes long, no hook, just bars on bars on bars. He's just hitting you in your head with bars for 6 minutes, no hook. We had never heard of that before. We never heard that before.
That's true.
I, it's just, man, I could go on and on about
I was about to say,
Paid in
Pete, you know
Full.
what? This is the first album that we've gone this long
Yeah,
about.
because it's that important, especially in hip hop and well,
Yeah,
music history. Period.
true.
It's to me the most important album in hip hop history because it truly, honestly changed the game of hip hop. It was a game changer. It
Hmm.
was a revolution to music. Like I said, especially in hip hop, because we had never heard anything like that. We heard Run DMC, yeah, basic, simple rhymes.
Hmm.
We
Party rhymes.
heard,
Yeah.
party. We heard Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and
Hmm.
Cool Mo D and people of Schoolie D and people of that sort. Natty
It was all
Houdini,
commercial.
yeah, Houdini, and could they rhyme? Yes,
Hmm.
but this was different.
It was.
This was different. The sound,
This
the
one was
vibe.
making you think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what Rakim said in an interview I watched on YouTube a few months back, where he said, "That's what I wrote to make you think." He said, "I wrote rhymes to make whoever listened to think." He said, "I put those word combinations together to make people think." And that's
Hmm.
exactly what he did with this album. That's why, to me, it's the most important album in hip hop history, and that's why it's today's classic album of the week.
There you go, folks. There it is.
And,
FD and
oh yeah, yeah,
Rakim.
yeah. And if you've never heard it, you've never listened to it, please today, as they say in church, I beggeth you, Eric B and Rakim Paid in Full.
It will change your life,
It'll change your life, man.
especially if you're a hip hop head. It'll change
Yeah,
your life.
especially if you're a hip hop head and you're not an old school cat like me and Chad in the hip hop game, you a younger cat, whatever the case may be. This is something you have to have in your rotation. You
Hmm.
have to have it in your rotation.
Yep. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, Pete. Let's keep the train moving. We're gonna
Hmm.
move on to is it the inventor and then your book? Or is it the book?
We can do it either
It
way.
don't even matter. Okay. I want to hit the black inventor of the week. We
Hmm.
talked about him before, but I'm bringing him back into the spotlight because there was an article that came out and it was talking about his patent trying to be stripped of him.
Mm.
but he wasn't having it. And he is uh, Granville T. Woods. Okay, he's a black inventor with nearly 60 patents to his name. One in particular we're going to talk about because Thomas Edison, of course, we all know him as the inventor of the light bulb and several other things. And now a lot of that is starting to come into question because this particular article is talking about Thomas Edison tried to take credit for a device created by Granville T. Woods. Uh, the device um, is called the induction telegraph. So in 1887, Woods secured a patent for the induction telegraph, which allowed messages to be sent between moving trains and train stations. His discovery was a much needed improvement to the communication system at the time, which was slow and shoddy and could lead to train, collisions. Because at that time it was hard for trains to communicate, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they would be on the same line and they didn't know it until last minute. But
Right.
he was able to put together a communication device so that trains could talk to one another, so that they could tell each other locations, so that they would be able to, if they were able to get onto another track or this one could slow down or back up, whatever
Mm-hmm.
have you, they could do it and reduce a lot of the train collisions. So soon after he patented his invention, Thomas Edison, that is, sued Woods,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
um, arguing that he had first created a similar telegraph and was thus entitled to the patent. Well, Woods eventually won that battle over the patent. The victory came at a hefty financial and personal cost, according to several historians. Woods' life, at times closer to a nightmare than an American dream, clearly illustrates the harsh realities of being a black inventor in the 19th century.
Mm.
And this is a French historian named Rayvon Fouché who wrote in a book called Black Inventors in the Age of Segregation. Granville T.
Mm.
Woods, Lewis H. Latimer, and Shelby J. Davidson. So this French historian is giving a tea on what it was like to be a black inventor at that
Wow.
time. Yeah. Woods at that time was dubbed the Black Edison by newspapers at the time for his
Mm.
contributions. Yeah, for his contributions to science. Woods also created what's called the Woods Coupe, which was a self-charging electric car. This is in the 1800s.
Wow.
Some of y'all may not believe in the Bible, and that's fine. I respect what you believe, but it clearly states
Mm-hmm.
nothing new under the sun.
Mm.
There's nothing new under the sun on this
Mm.
earth. Yeah. He was and I'll try to remember to post this picture up on this YouTube once I upload. I mean once on this podcast once I upload it. But it's a picture of a car and it says Woods
Mm.
Coupe, COUPE, is self-charging electric.
Mm.
He founded the Woods Electric Company in Cincinnati, Ohio, and developed hybrid cars in the 1800s.
Oh man. 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 Good gracious.
So yeah. That's Granville
Man.
T. Woods. Now, along with the legal battle with Edison, among Woods'
Mm.
most important inventions was the synchronous multiplex railway telegraph, which allowed messages to be sent uninterrupted between trains. Same thing I told you about earlier that
Mm-hmm.
Edison tried to sue twice on. Before he could file for a patent, however, Woods caught smallpox and was bedridden for months. Historians describe how, upon recovery, Woods was shocked to learn that another inventor, Lucius Phelps, had been credited for a version of the induction telegraph. So Woods painstakingly used his notes, sketches, and a working model of his invention to prove that he'd started developing the technology first and won the
Mm-hmm.
patent in 1887. But the battle over the patent didn't end there. Soon after, Edison sued Woods not once, like I said before, not once but twice, claiming he had invented the inductor telegraph first. Woods again successfully defeated both lawsuits, according to several historians that don't look like us.
Mm.
Some writers suggest that Edison offered Woods a job at his company and Woods declined. Okay,
I don't want a job from you.
which
Oh, you
probably
trying to
pissed
steal my you trying to steal my patent, dog.
which probably pissed Edison off, and that's what probably made Edison come after him. Because at
Mm-hmm.
that time, how's the N word gonna decline me? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Mm-hmm.
But the challenges of being a black inventor. Woods ultimately sold some of his patents and devices to Edison and other industrialists, as well as companies like Westinghouse, General Electric, and American Engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Historians describe Wood's decision to sell his hard-won patents to an acknowledgement that it was difficult to market black American inventions to a largely white audience. So even though your invention was on point and much needed and very
Mm-hmm.
lucrative, white folks at large would pass it off as, oh, we don't really need it. It doesn't really cost that much. It doesn't hold any
Mm-hmm.
value. So they'll
Right.
buy it from him because he's broke. He's trying to make money off of patents. He sells it for
Exactly.
pennies on the dollar just to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
They turn around and it blows the hell up and they making millions. He knew this was going. I know he knew this was going to happen
Of
because it was a
course.
need. It was a need.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But he did what he had to do. But when you,
Right.
like I told you off air, when you sell over your patents, a lot of times you don't get the credit.
Mm-hmm.
They take all the credit, which is what
Right.
Edison did. And if it wasn't for these historians who really gave us the background, we would have
Mm-hmm.
never known that Granville T. Woods was the man with the master plan. And Edison
Wow.
did a lot like Bill Gates. He ain't invent nothing. He just bought stuff and put
Right.
his name on it. I ain't
Mm-hmm.
throwing shame. I just want to bring truth. That's all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to
Yeah.
bring truth and call a spade a spade.
That's it. Man,
So
our
like,
people are great, man. Our people are great. I'm sorry I cut you off, Chad, man.
no,
That
you good.
I mean,
You good.
just the hybrid car got me.
In the 1800s. Yeah,
Man, our people are great.
in the
Whew.
1800s.
Mm. Mm.
So, but it goes on to say that, some people who bought his inventions didn't pay him fairly or even failed to give him credit for his work,
Right.
according to historians. And sometimes inventors lost all claims to their inventions once they were sold. Like I told you, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to give them their just due, especially if they're black. Like most black inventors of the era, Woods had to concede that the race of the inventor did affect the market value of the invention.
Wow.
That goes on to this day, if you ask me. That goes on
Yeah.
to this day.
No matter
So
how important it is,
don't matter.
it still matters.
Look at redlining. You look
Yep.
at our properties where we live. Oh, it's not valuable, whatever. So you run it down, you go in there and take over. Now all of a sudden, it's millions of dollars worth value.
Look at Brooklyn,
I digress.
Harlem. I mean, prime examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, just came in and gentrified.
That's it.
And
All
now
of a sudden, it's worth a lot.
now those places that we call the hood are now $1 million
Communities.
communities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So that's a little insight on Granville T. Woods, guys. I wanted to throw to you and bring to the forefront. We will now move on with the author of the week.
Yeah,
Mr.
we're going
Pete
to
Hunt.
we're going to be real quick and to the point with this one since we discussed it a little bit earlier. It's not a book this week. It's actually a documentary. It's called The League, which is currently now on Yuhu. I'm not Yuhu. Hulu. Excuse me. Yuhu. Hulu. I'm sorry. Excuse me. On Hulu, and it's called The League, and it really breaks down the start of the Negro baseball leagues, as Chad was speaking to earlier. It talks about how and why the Negro League baseball was started because of the Major League Baseball not wanting black players in their league. So of course we do our own thing and make the Negro leagues, and then it just basically tells us about the great players, the Josh Gibsons, the Satchel Pages, the Rube Fosters, the Jackie Robinson, those type of players that started this, that were great in the Negro baseball leagues, and then how they flourished. And as soon as the Brooklyn Dodgers, signed Jackie Robinson, how then all of Major League Baseball wanted a black player on their team and basically siphoned all the great talent from, the Negro baseball leagues, and they basically had to fold because of all of their great talent was being siphoned to the Major League Baseball.
Right.
But it just gives a fantastic breakdown of how the Negro leagues were started, how popular they were, how it changed black culture, really. them barnstorming across the country, playing each other, and how it really brought pride uh, to the black community as a whole, just to see these black men playing baseball at a high level. And it's just a fantastic documentary. Again, it's on Hulu, and yeah, just and not Yahoo or you whatever I said. It's on Hulu, and yeah, just check it out, man. It's a great, like I said, a great. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, but it's just a really great watch if you're into baseball and you're into the history of baseball, and even if you're not, it's just something that
Great history
black
lesson.
people. Yeah, it's just a great history lesson of something that black people created and made great in our own world. You know what I'm saying? It was just our own baseball league that we had and we ran and had the greatest players on the planet, basically, in the Negro leagues. And it's again just if you want to really go into a deep dive of Negro League baseball, this is a great documentary to watch. And again, it's called The League.
There you go, folks. I think I'm gonna check that out this week too. That looks
Yeah,
like something right up my alley.
yes, sir.
Um, Definitely want to take a look at that. Folks, we will go into the Bible verse of the week. It comes from Colossians chapter 1, verses 13, and it reads, "For the Father has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves." Now, just a couple of thoughts about today's verse. God doesn't just hear our cries for deliverance, but he also provides powerful deliverers. For example, God sent Moses in response to the Israelites' cries from Egypt. God sent David in response to Goliath's ridicule of God's people by the Philistines. God also sent Jesus in response to his people's cries for deliverance from bondage to the evil prince of darkness. God built his new kingdom on deliverance of love, the sacrificial love of a Savior who not only conquered death for us, but also brought us life and immortality through his deliverance of us. Jesus is not only our rescuer, he is also our Savior. God has brought us from darkness to light and from death to life in the kingdom of his beloved Son.
Mm,
So, just a really cool verse, a deep verse to, really meditate on, you know.
mm,
For the Father has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. And the Son he loves, we know that God is love, God is light. And that's the kingdom that hopefully you would want to be a part of. So again, Colossians chapter 1, verse 13. Just a little food for thought and meditation on that. So yes, indeed. Pete, anything else, my brother, on this podcast? I think we this was a really good one. I know we went way
oh
over,
yes,
but it
sir.
was it was it was
Mhm.
very well worth it, I think.
Yeah, just
Um,
just as always, first of all, love yourself and love those around you, because
mhm.
you never know if you'll see them again. You know what I'm saying? You never
That's
know
true.
if you'll wake up in the morning. So first of all, love yourself and love the others around you, your family, your friends, coworkers, whatever, whoever the case may be. Just love yourself and love those around.
Indeed. God has loved people. Over half of our situations and problems and circumstances I feel like, can be solved if we just take the time to love one another and stop
Mm.
judging. Less judgment, more love.
Yes, sir.
There's only one judge, legitimately, if you want to be honest. Because we can try to judge all day, but I'm pretty sure if somebody pulls back our rug or opens our closets, they're gonna
Hmm.
find some things that we don't want them to see.
Yeah.
So a little less judgment, a little bit more love, and I think we're gonna be all right. God will take care of the rest.
Mm.
Um, but I will leave you guys before we jump off the podcast with the famous quote from Marcus Garvey, and it reads: "Never forget that intelligence rules the world, um, and ignorance carries the burden. So therefore, remove yourself as far as possible from ignorance, and seek as far as possible to be intelligent.
Mm.
Always." All right, folks, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Our Voice 360, Our Perspectives, Our Ways. Be blessed, be safe, and we are out.
Peace.